We're talking push trucks, PA posse, really big right rear wheels, and racing on dirt. From Silver Dollar to Williams Grove, Eldora to Devil's Bowl, and of course, Knoxville. This is Winged Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. Now your hosts, Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
Hello again, it is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires, our favorite time of the week and one of our favorite shows of the year. We're so glad you joined us. We have a great one lined up for you. Erin Evernham and Steve Post here, and it is our State of the Sports show. I don't know that we formally call it that, but we informally call it that with Brian Carter. Brian has joined us here as well with the World Racing Group, and we can't wait to dig in to the 2016 season and maybe peel the covers a little bit, whatever Brian will give us on 2017. So it is a great show. We're glad you joined us here on MRN Wing Nation. Erin Evernham alongside, and Erin, we always joke around about this sprint car racing and sleeping in our own beds.
Yeah.
We're coming off a high with the World Finals. The racing, it's funny. It's not a big announcement that the racing was great. The racing is always great.
Yes.
But a fun weekend out at the track, fun weekend with some of our shows, and great to see everyone. That's the big thing.
I always feel like it's a bit of a family reunion for me.
Yeah.
I ran the tour in 2004, so 12 years ago, but yet there's so many familiar people. And when you spend your life on the road with the guys, they become family. So even if you don't see them for a year at a time, it was a great family weekend, and the weather was spectacular. The weather was awesome this weekend.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny because we had guests. We had our Tom Johnson show, and it was funny. Our first two guests, who was it? It was Hodnett and Pittman.
Brownie.
And Brownie, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, some of them came prepared for the weather, but I know Shane Stewart was like, I didn't even pack shorts. I mean, we were all cooking out there. So it was a good problem to have. And Erin, when we look at the results of it, when we look at the 2016 season, we can argue about what are the biggest stories, okay? Yeah. But we certainly know within the top five, maybe the top three, Jason Johnson winning the Knoxville Nationals and Donny Schatz being Donny Schatz. I just think it's kind of fitting that those were the two winners over the course of the weekend.
I thought so, too. It was like how fitting to end the season like this. Jason had the Knoxville Nationals, and that was probably the biggest story of the year. To have him win Friday night and then Donny to cap off another championship season was perfect, fitting.
Really, really cool. It was. Taking a look at our Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery results page, it was the Bad Boy Off-Road World Finals. Friday night, Jason Johnson over Logan Schuchart, Donny Schatz, Dale Blaney, Brad Sweet. Saturday night, Donny Schatz over David Gravel, Greg Hodnett, Joey Saldana, and Logan Schuchart. We've heard so much about Logan and a lot of talk about it.
Yeah.
But when you see how fast he is,
yeah.
I think it jumped out at me as, we know he won Port Royal a few weeks ago. He won earlier this year. But when you see him mixing it up at the front of the field, it was like, wait a minute, we've read all the stories, but seeing it in person is really amazing.
Yeah, there was a difference to see in person. Like he races like a veteran now. He's right up there in the top competition.
So exciting. It really is what's going on with the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprints and across Wing Nation. The only other race that I had, I think California got washed out with some 360 races. A.J. Maddox won the Top Gun Sprints down at Bubba Raceway Park. There you have it, the Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery results page. Classic Ink. They have great T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, towels, hats, and more. Find out why drivers like Brian Brown, Donny Schatz, Danny Dietrich, Brady Bacon, and more, they choose Classic Ink. You can too, and it is a good time to get those T-shirt orders and hat orders in place for the 2017 season. ClassicInkUSA.com. That's www.classicinkusa.com. We need to step away. Brian Carter from the World Racing Group joins us next.
Hi, I'm Dale Blaney, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
The 25th year of the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series is about to begin.
Expanded national and regional tours, over 150 events across the United States, and some of sprint car racing's biggest names and rising stars.
The 25th anniversary of the Lucas Oil ASCS is one you don't want to miss. Find out when the American Sprint Car Series is near you in 2016 at ASCSRacing.com. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter,
and catch all the action away from the track live at RacingBoys.com.
Being there matters. And your United States Navy protects and defends America on the world's oceans. Around the globe, around the clock, Navy ships, submarines, aircraft, and, most importantly, tens of thousands of America's finest young men and women are ready to defend America when piracy threatens global commerce, when disaster strikes, or when called upon by the Commander-in-Chief. Your Navy is there. When it comes to protecting and defending America, being there matters. And America's Navy is already there.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
I feel like experience kind of outweighs youth.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
Kyle Busch driving for his life right now.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
Our lives are so much different than what people may think they are.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon, and now back to Wing Nation.
Welcome back. Thank you, Jeff. We are having a great time. This is, folks, one of our favorite shows. And first off, if you're new to MRN Wing Nation, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us. And it is our final show of the year. We'll be back again in mid to late January, but it is one of our favorite shows because we get a chance to take a look at a big picture and what's going on in our beloved wing sprint car racing. And joining us on the program, as he has the last few years, I think maybe we're celebrating our 5th anniversary. He is the CEO of the World Racing Group. Brian Carter joins us. Welcome back, Brian.
I can't believe it's been 5 years, but yeah, 5th year we're sitting down talking about racing at the end of the season.
It is. It's amazing, and and I think the really cool part about it is we've been talking 5 years about growth. I mean, we're not talking 5 years about what are we going to do to pull ourselves out of the fire. We've been talking about what are we going to do to grow. And I would dare say, when we look at 2016, how was the year? What's your assessment from the world of Outlaws, but 410 racing as a whole?
Well, we ran 452 410 races again this year, almost exactly the same. And I think that might have been before the World Finals and before, if we had, Susquehanna, I think we ran after the World Finals last year. But 452. So if it's plus or minus 4 or 5, it's a lot of racing, and it's the same. And actually had another 420 guys come race with us, and 390 something last year, so we're growing on that front, and it's nice. It's nice to see the hard work paying off. And the 10th year of the World Finals, what is it? I mean, it's become something just special on its own. So it's nice to finish the season out that way, and it gives you the chance. We talked about momentum and carrying that momentum right into the off season and going right into what are we going to do next year? What are we going to do next year? And that's the way we approach it. So it's been an extraordinary year again with 2016. I tell you, my guys though. My team's tired. We rolled out the largest branding across the, when you look at the back, go out behind our shop right now, and I've got all of our, all the trucks are getting cleaned up and getting ready to get put away. And man, there's a lot of red and black back there. It looks cool. It looks cool. So,
yeah, because that Craftsman didn't come about till January when we announced it. So, boy, you won't know what to do with a full off season.
There's no off season. You know better than that. But no, it's nice. We brought Craftsman in later than we would have liked to, but it's extraordinary, and it's building momentum too. We had the Craftsman people here for the weekend and for the banquets, and we were talking about, they were there in the office yesterday talking about how can we make it better, how can we make it bigger, how can we reach all of the Craftsman membership, and how do we make them feel like they're part of the World of Outlaws, and how do we grow the World of Outlaws to bring them into the Craftsman family. And that's the things that we have to do to make this all better. And that's what gets me excited. Then there'll be no off season. We're running right into the program. What are we going to do better for next year?
Can't believe you don't get any rest after the whole season and the World Finals. I feel like you need a little break.
I'm going to take a half day. I just haven't figured out which half day that is yet. No, I'm a fisherman, and it's October, and I haven't been able to go fishing in North Carolina. That's a sacrilege. But no, it's fine. It's actually, I did a really good job, and Tom and I, we laid out the season last year of really jacking up October. I mean, with Super Dirt Week and the new World Short Track Championships, and then the World Finals in October. It was an incredible year, but my gosh, I think everybody's pretty tired.
Yeah. Were you happy with the way that you tweaked the schedule this year? Are you going to do some things different for next year?
Well, we're going to always tweak the calendar. Years ago we talked about working towards a destination event. When you can do something like the World Finals, you can really make it special for people. And we've got 15 2-day shows and 6 3- or 4-day shows next year. So you look at it, 49 days of 49 races at weekend events. And when you do that, you can have a chance for better fan interaction, and you can really create the destination and try to grow things like, we start off right out of the season with the DCN, then you go Vegas, Tulare, Stockton, Devil's Bowl. These are just the weekend events. I mean, Williams Grove, Eldora, Jackson, Minnesota now, we're going to have a 3-day event there, and just goes through the entire season. And it's special to be able to get that done and actually have the biggest change probably on our weekend calendar is we're taking our Calistoga Spring Weekend and we're going back to the fall. and running the Calistoga Fall Weekend. And if anybody who's been there in Calistoga for that show, it was 3-day show for the longest time, and we're going to build it with 2 and see what we can come up with in the years to come.
That's great.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful.
That
beautiful
was a
destination.
really fun event.
Yeah, really, really cool. Brian, when we look at it, and you kind of talked about some of the numbers there back. Brian is we've established over the course of time. Brian is a numbers geek. Yeah, Erin's all excited. Do you have graphs?
I know. I got so many questions about the graphs.
We'll work on that.
But Brian keeps really close tabs on all of it. And you say 452 410 races. But you talked about that car count, and you said, what'd you say, 390 some last year, but 420 some.
420 guys.
So the population of 410 racers, we're gaining ground.
We're gaining ground. So it's not going to be leaps and bounds, and we don't expect that. That's not how you do it healthy. You do it nice and slow and steady, and you bring the guys in, and you get them acclimated to the sport. You make them have fun and and then you just slowly grow that number, and it's really nice to see that happening. But yeah, 420 different guys took a lap with us at the World of Outlaws.
Oh my gosh!
You mentioned in the data that you kind of follow each region, and if you see one that's a little bit weaker on numbers, you can help out. How would you go about helping out a region if you saw that their numbers were a little down?
Well, we're looking for, we've talked about it before too. For the World of Outlaws to be strong on a national basis, we need strong regional programs too. So when you look at what the NSL and Todd Quiring and those guys have done, and All Stars with Tony coming in, and the West Coast having their programs, we really need those regional programs to be strong so that when we come in, we can actually have a great program, and it really does enhance what the World of Outlaws brings to the event. When you come in and you can race against a great regional crowd, you create the excitement and the energy that happens at places in California and at Eldora and Williams Grove and Knoxville and Jackson. Those guys have such a strong core base of 410 racers. It's as close as we have as college rivalry, and we've talked about that before, where we're going to wear our colors and you're going to wear yours, and we're going to have it out on the field. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a big party. And that's the sort of stuff that people want to be a part of now. It's just from the fans and from the car, it makes it exciting, and people have way too many alternatives. If we're not making this fun and exciting for them, they're not going to come back to the racetrack.
That is truth for sure. That is for sure. Brian, you're always in a unique spot because when we think of the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Cars, we think of the 12, 14, 15, 16 teams that travel with you full time. And it'd probably be a lot easier for you if you just focused on those guys. But you have to look at this like you have to take care of those travelers, but also take care of the strong regions like the Pennsylvania guys, the Ohio guys, the Midwest guys. But there's 420 drivers that have signed up for you. You've got to look out. How do you balance it for the guys that, they're a young kid and they want to run their first World of Outlaw race? How do you do that balancing act of keeping the thing all moving with different agendas for everybody?
Well, it's critical that you balance that, and that the key is balance. What you do is you don't change the cars a lot. You make sure that once you establish a rules package, you don't have to keep changing every time somebody different's coming in. So our ability to work with Knoxville and the All-Stars and creating a uniform rules package so that they know what they have, when they know what we're going to roll in with, and that consistency really creates the foundation for the growth. And if you focus on that, then the rest of this is really about the entertainment product that the World of Outlaws brings to the table when we come in. So that's the key from the regional growth is a stable set of rules that can be enforced and managed as a whole. And we've been had that approach for every year that we've been involved.
Brian, speaking of rule changes, this year you guys, you could run the 17-inch wide tire or 18-inch right rear tire or wicker bill. There was a few minor changes to the rules package. Were the drivers and teams happy with that? And is there anything different coming for next year?
They were asking for some choices because of the way each racetrack behaves differently. You know better than anybody else sitting in the room. It changes, and they wanted more of a choice. So we gave them that, and I think the results are a little different than I thought. I thought more people would go to that wider tire, but it has actually a great balance. And really, I think it gave a little more of that racing where the guy with the right tire came forward, and the guy with the wrong tire, wrong balance, the wicker bills. But having that choice, but those are not expensive choices.
No.
So you can actually, if you run those or the tracks want to run a particular tire, they can run that one and still be competitive.
Yeah.
And actually have an advantage against our guys who may not be familiar with what that tire does on that racetrack. So we listened to them. The teams wanted a choice, and we didn't think it would affect us much, and we thought, well, we'll give them a choice, and it actually turned out to be great. So.
That's great.
One of the other things this year, and I think formats are always a big topic, okay? And I think depending on who you talk to and what their last race was, it was like, this is good or not. You went with the time trial and the fast car starting on the front row, then, of course, an inversion on the dash or a draw on the dash. Overall, big picture, and I know one night it might affect a guy negatively, and he might be screaming at you, and the next night when he comes from the back all the way up through the evening, it works out well. Overall, are you content with that, or do you think that worked out all right for you guys?
Well, we talked about that a lot in our drivers. We have a team owners meeting here, kind of wrap up the season with everybody, and you know, it did not change the number of front row winners in the heat races.
Really?
Wow.
So what happened? What's happening is the top 20 guys are fast, and if you pull it in, you know, you happen to qualify 15th or 16th, or even worse, if you're in like 8th or 10th, you're qualifying. It really has an impact that it shouldn't have on the racing. So when we lined everybody straight up, and it really did not change the number of first and second, you know, the people that won the dash from the front row. What it does do, in my mind, I saw a lot more of it, is each time you pass a car on the racetrack, you're improving your position for the feature. So you actually had a chance to, you know, so think about a guy who had a crappy qualifying run and he's starting at the tail of his heat race. Well, he can race all the way up to 5th and make the inversion, or make the heat, or make the feature, or run 4th and make the feature. Then he still starts back in the back. He doesn't get any credit for that. He goes back to his qualifying time. So we actually see a lot of the really good racing. I don't think you'll see a lot of that change next year. Something you may see is, you know, we had a lot of requests for once we get to the dash, just let us draw. Because there's always a conspiracy about whether there's an 8 pill or a 6 pill or too many 6 pills.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to put however many people in the dash. We're going to play with a little bit. That's put the number of pills in. Boys, you draw which one you draw.
That's cool.
And girls, but that's what we're going to try that a little bit and see what we come out with. But that's really there's not. The racing's been incredible.
Yeah. That's it, exactly.
You see it. So the racing's been incredible. When you look at it, Donny was the champion. He's also won the Hard Charger Award. He's passed more race cars because even starting straight up and all the rest, he passed a bunch of race cars. So you see a lot of really, really good racing. Yeah,
we had one night midway through the year. I think this played out really well. Brian Brown, and I don't remember, it might have been Eldora, was somewhere where Brownie played. He had a terrible qualifying lap. He was mired back in, and historically he'd have been pretty much done for the night. But he did everything he needed to do to get to second in his heat race, I think it was. So all of a sudden, wait a minute, he went from a terrible qualifying night to the dash. And I think the draw didn't necessarily play into his favor. He might have been 8th, but he got a great start at the beginning of it, and he went from a terrible qualifying run to the front row of the A main. And he actually tweeted something about it. I forget where it was, and I think I agree. The challenge is the front row in the heat race, but the problem of it is the guys that qualified 12th, 14th, 15th that are going to be on the front row under the old format are likely going to win those heat races too.
Yeah, they're just as fast, and we have such a core group that it's a good field of cars, and you have just as much a chance, you know, qualifying 16th and starting on the heat race pole than you did if you qualified first and started on the heat race.
Yeah, it's great stuff. It really is, and it was fun to watch, and watching people learn that system and play that system. We need to step away. We're going to have more with Brian Carter in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Craig Kinzer, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Classic Ink USA Screen Printing and Embroidery is constantly testing the limits of custom racewear and specialized embroidery. Headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, Classic Ink holds the highest standard, maximizing your return as well as the ultimate customer satisfaction. From track swag fanwear to quick crew crewwear, Classic Ink has you covered. Their dedicated staff and designers will keep your race team and fans looking sharp. Contact Classic Ink today and get your team ahead of the competition. www.classicinkusa.com. That's Classic Ink, at the track and on your back. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Honoring sprint car racing's greatest achievers.
25 historic sprint cars on display. A movie theater featuring sprint car racing film. And a breathtaking view of historic Knoxville Raceway. Go to SprintCarStuff.com for the largest sprint car gift shop on the planet. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Aggressive Hydraulics, where we engineer the cylinders that move your business. We specialize in crafting hydraulic cylinders and components with superior precision and performance, making OEM products stronger and creating more opportunities for distributors and repair facilities. Crafting cylinders that operate on a global basis in a wide variety of industries and applications. Get aggressive with your cylinder challenges. Aggressive Hydraulics.
Time now for a look at a great American dirt track presented by another great American dirt track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway.
I'm Ashley Stremme. Starting out at the quarter-mile dirt track in 1968, expanded to a 3/8 mile in 1969, lengthened to a half-mile in 1972, and then paved in 1989 and converted back to dirt in 1998. Volusia Speedway Park has seen many changes over the years. Originally opening as Barberville Speedway, Volusia Speedway Park is now the annual kickoff to each year's dirt racing seasons for the World of Outlaws Sprint Cars and Late Models, UMP Late Models, and the UMP Super Dirt Car Series. During its days as an asphalt track, NASCAR held 4 Xfinity Series races, with current dirt-modified driver Kenny Wallace winning the 1991 Xfinity race. The biggest names in dirt racing have raced at Volusia Speedway Park, including Steve Kinzer, Tony Stewart, Josh Richards, Jack Hewitt, and Scott Bloomquist. This year, the decision was made to discontinue weekly racing at the track with 7 more nights of racing left on the schedule. Track owner World Racing Group has stated that they are reviewing potential leasers to bring weekly racing back for next year. The 2017 Dirt Car Nationals will be held next year on February 14th through the 25th to kick off another year of dirt track racing in America. Volusia Speedway Park, a great American dirt track brought to you by another great American dirt track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway.
Thank you, Ashley, and we do appreciate Port Royal Speedway bringing you the Great American Dirt Track, what you can do on our Facebook page, Wing Nation. In just a little bit, when we get done with the show, you'll have your chance to talk about great memories from Volusia Raceway Park, or Volusia Speedway Park, and great memories that you have from there. We'll do that on the Facebook page. Now, what's interesting about time flying is that Ashley recorded that piece probably a week or two ago, a couple of weeks ago, and indeed, short track racing during the season had been discontinued. Brian Carter with the World Racing Group, they're actually the owners of the track, but I think upon further review, there's going to be a few more races this year before we get into it next year, right?
That's right. We've got an arrangement for their one of our great partners there in Volusia to run 2 races in November and 2 races in December, help us get the racetrack ready to go, and we'll be running hard come the 14th of February. Starting off with 2 nights of All-Star races and 3 nights of World of Outlaws shows, so 5 nights of 410 racing right off the bat.
Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And Volusia's a really great facility, a great way to kick the season off. It's so cool. Brian, it really got kind of leads, and you had mentioned the big events, the big weekend, and it kicks off with the Dirt Car Nationals, but Texas Outlaw Nationals, Kings Royal, just so many big events. You kind of covered that big picture about destinations and things to do, but get into more details. What are you guys looking to accomplish when we have these 2 and 3 night shows? We know what it looks like in the evening, but are you looking for a carnival type atmosphere, a festival type atmosphere? Is that what you guys are looking for?
Well, it sure helps to be able to create that for the fans. You know, what we really do when we run in 93 nights a year, it's nice to consolidate it for our teams and for the teams that are traveling full time. But the event itself has to be larger than life for people to spend their money and want to be part of it. So a lot of these are built around having a little more interaction with the teams. They can get there on Friday. They're not rushed to get there. They can set up and have a nice interaction with the fans after the show. They're not really rushed around on Saturday. We can do more fan interactions or even customer or sponsor interactions on Saturday and then have another big show. But it's really easier on everybody that's involved with the World of Outlaws, but it also, when you consider consolidating 49 nights of racing into those events, those 21 weekends, 31 weekends is a big deal. So it really is important to do that. But from a fan perspective, it has to be a destination. It's so expensive to get up and down the road, even for the fans to come in. And if they can plan in advance, when you take off, if you have to take a Friday off to come for a Friday and a Saturday, it's just that much better. So, the way we changed our formats, I think, changed a lot too. When you're running standalone shows, the Friday show and the Saturday show are independent. So it really does help the fans see the World of Outlaws twice in one weekend.
Brian, when you want to create that big weekend event, how do you work with the tracks or the sponsors to help activate that? Because you guys are on the road traveling crazy. You're based here in Charlotte, but how can you help the track? Say it's a track in California. How do you work with them?
Well, we have a really good team of promotion partner here in Charlotte. So we have 40 some odd full-time employees. We promote 97 this past year. We promoted 97 events ourselves across the countries. So we have a really good promotional teams. But we start now. I saw the draft of the sanctioning agreements this morning, and we start working right away to start working on a promotional plan, and then working to start establishing the key is get the calendar done, make sure we know where we're going to go, get the sanctioning agreements all done, and start planning as much as you can in advance. But because it's important. We have so many assets and resources available to the promoters now to really help make the show big.
One of the big historic marquee races is the Jackson Nationals. And I know that as Todd Quering has taken back over Jackson, he wants to build that back into, we understand Knoxville is in this certain category, but Todd has shared with me he'd like to be in that next tier. And he's done wonderful things, what he's done up at Jackson. But my understanding is that it's, and I know it's moving to June and going to be a World of Outlaw race. It's got to be a lot of pride to have one of those marquee events with a promoter that's very aggressive, that's not scared to invest in his track and invest in his promotion, and create another destination race out of that with the Jackson Nationals. That's got to be exciting to add that one to the checklist as a World of Outlaw race.
It makes me very, very happy, because when you take the one brand like the Jackson Nationals and the World of Outlaws, they're both strong independently, but when you can put them together and make both brands stronger, that's what this is about. Same thing with our marketing partners. You take Craftsman, a strong 90 years, and World of Outlaws, you put those two brands together, you make it much, much stronger, and that's when you can do that, and especially with the marquee events, it really makes it feel like you're doing something right.
Is there any concern or downsides? Downsides, I should say, to worrying about diluting the other big events? Like, I know there's different regions of the country we're talking about, but is there any fear that you're taking something away from the big Kings Royal or the Knoxville Nationals? Well,
we try to be as careful as you can be, and I agree with you. You have to be real careful in a particular marketplace. But these are all, these are meaningful events to people, and they find a way to make them a priority. That's what you have to do. But absolutely, you have to be real careful with what you are doing in a particular marketplace. Not only with these are expensive shows for your race fans, but how it balances with the rest of the racing. There's something other than 410 sprint car racing. I won't say that very loud, but
Really?
No, there's a lot.
There
We
is?
have 15 classes and 3 different touring series ourselves, much less all the other things that are going on. So you have to take the balance of what the marketplace can take. The good thing is that it's carefully planned. It's worked into our calendar, and I think that we have the opportunity for these to become independently large events.
When we look at the World of Outlaws, and we talked a little bit about it just kind of in your opening comments, one of the things that's just absolutely electric is the rivalries. And, of course, Pennsylvania is kind of the one that's held on the pedestal. But I actually went up for a few nights of Ohio Speed Week, and the fans up there are ate up about the World of Outlaws when they roll through town. And I know with all of the great growth in the Midwest, with Knoxville, what Kendra's doing there, with Todd Quering, with Badlands, with them all kind of going, in California as well. How much fun is it to have these rivalries and to be able to play off from this? You mentioned college football. It's amazing, and that's got to be great from a promotional standpoint, and us versus them as well.
It is outstanding, and that's it. Actually, you can feel the energy when we roll into places that have such a strong group of local and regional racers, and you create that as much of a college rivalry as you can. For years and years, a lot of that rivalry traveled with us, with Steve and Sammy, and then Doug mixed in. And so you kind of brought a little bit of it with you, but it wasn't near as big as it can be when it's you're going to their home turf. And so it's one thing that we've talked about for years and years is we're not going to manufacture a rivalry. We're going to have to let it develop. So it's actually really nice to see places and when Hodnett and Deweese and Nash, those guys kick our butts. It's exciting. It's why I actually enjoy watching that, because it breathes fire into the fan group, and then you can see our guys are in a bad mood for like a week because they got but it's because they all want to be better than they are, and that's special. It really is special.
Brian, it seems with a number of cars that run the full tour, there's a nice mix when you go to a track. There's like room left in the feature for some regional racers, whether, not necessarily Pennsylvania because they kind of fill a lot of the field up sometimes. But it's a nice number that you have. Are you guys content with the number of full-time teams you have, or are you, obviously you'd always like more?
Well, more's not better sometimes. We had 1 year where we were up to 21, 19, and that's a hard living up and down the road. So the way we've got the financials worked for the teams and the full-time incentives, it really balances out nice in that 10, 12, 13, 14 range. It really, again, one of those, we're not going to manufacture those. You can't create that demand for that team to come out. We can create a nice, fair place for them to come and play, but that 12 is perfect. You can, 12, 13, 14, because our guys are all making a pretty good living. They can get up and down the road with the money that we're paying them and the purses. You can kind of guess where they're going to end up every night, and it gives the regional guys a chance to come in and a good feel to them to make it. And do very well financially too for the race. So it's a great balance. But we're not, again, one of those things I'm not going to manufacture. You have to let it kind of find its own place.
Yeah. Are there any new teams that you have? Sorry, Steve.
The silly season's already started. Yeah. I've heard lots of stuff, but I hear stuff that people want me to hear, so I have to kind of be careful with that. But there's lots of with those new teams, and you're watching them develop, and you see I showed you my finishing order statistics. You can definitely see who's potential for the next 3 or 4 years of coming out. It's just those. There's a lot of pieces, and if you don't believe me on how many pieces are to put it together, ask Jason Johnson and Greg Wilson and those guys and Clyde Knipp on what it means when you come out and go full time. It's a challenge, and those are pieces that have to be all put in place to come out.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit. You mentioned Jason Johnson's name. I mean, he came out last year and got clubbed. I mean, he actually, and sadly, he broke his back. He was in a crash and broke his back. But I mean, this kid, he got beat up all across America. I mean, he would roll into a race, and we've talked and had fun with Greg Wilson. We've had fun. I don't know that Greg's had fun talking about his clubbing that he gets every time he goes into the racetrack. But I just can't imagine to go through that in year number 1 and then come out in year number 2. We know, of course, he has the marquee win at the Knoxville Nationals, but you were sharing his average finish and everything. The growth we've seen in a guy like that is just amazing.
Yeah, last year, Jason, I've got everybody's average finishes for their across the nation, and Jason was averaging 12.4 last year, and he's averaging eighth finishing spot this year. He's up from 106th in the nation up to 27th in average finishing spot, and that shows you the learning curve and how steep it is. Same thing for Greg. Wasn't even on the Greg's are a little skewed because he was running with the All-Stars last year, so his average was about 9, but about 12.4. So you see him this year; they kind of fit in where they're going to finish, and then now let's see how fast they get up the learning curve. For some of those guys, like I'm telling you, like Logan Schuhart, his last year average was 11. He's up to 7. He went from 88 to 42, and he is fast right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gravel's probably our biggest mover. His average last year was 9.8. He finished 4th across all his starts.
Oh my gosh!
4th. Actually, this is the top 50 finishes.
Yeah.
4th.
Wow.
You'd have Gravel somebody to watch coming up. It's fun to watch those guys as they learn.
Brian, as you have teams like Jason Johnson come in and then Greg Wilson, and having run the tour before, it's brutal. You can get beat up. Is there stuff that you do as a series that can kind of keep them going or help them? Like I'm sure there's days that they're like, I don't know how much longer I can handle this.
Well, and actually Sunday night reminds me of how much of that is happening, and it's not just happening from the World of Outlaws, but it's all the other teams too.
Yeah.
These guys, when they bring a team out and the team is sincere and they're professional, our guys bring them under their wing because they want it all to be successful. And I've seen so many hands not only in the work area but beforehand helping with cars, and that's the whole World of Outlaws family that embraces them, not just the World of Outlaws, and we're part of that family. It's just, if you don't get that support group right away, it's a very short-lived. And we've had teams that come out and they maybe had the wrong approach or a different a conflicting personnel, and they don't go. They will not make the second year.
Yeah, it is. And I know in talking to Greg, because of our Hercules Tires friendship, we've spent a lot of time with him, and he has talked about the family effect of it. And even the Sides boys taking the kids to a Golden Corral one night, which is kind of a scary thought right there.
I'd let them take my
Exactly.
Love them both dearly.
Yes,
but
it is.
Sure.
Greg, so Brian, while we're talking about teams, first and foremost, and one of the things I've always respected about you is you're a sprint car junkie. You're a sprint car fan. Grew up in Texas and raced some sprint cars and did it. And now you have this big global picture, but you've got one guy in the name of Donny Schatz that just absolutely is showing he's incredible. He's amazing. As a sprint car fan, watching some of the things that team does, what's your take on him? Set aside the fact that there's some nights he stinks up your show. I mean, from a competitive standpoint, but as a fan, what's your take on what Donny and Ricky and Tony's team have been able to do?
Well, when I look at it, early on in my racing career as a fan, I didn't get as much of a chance to watch Steve's early part of his career develop. Mm-hmm. And all of our sprint car fans are getting a chance to see it now. I mean, they're getting a chance to see how that domination and how a skilled driver and team actually can command the sport. And I saw it, but I only got to see it when it was in Texas. Didn't have the coverage, and you need to see all that. So for me, it's a treat to see it develop. You know, the 143 wins in the series since like 2009. I mean, so it's actually, you know, it's phenomenal. I know a bunch of the guys on the tour would love to see him figure out how not to race so fast, but you know, from a fan's perspective, it's interesting to watch it, and you can see it. We talked a little bit about it, the way he manages the race car, the way he manages each race itself, and the way the team is run. It's really something special. And until you see it, it's hard to believe how good he is.
It is. It's amazing, and it is amazing. You know, and we're right up on a break, but I think back to a conversation we probably had. We said we've been doing this 5 years. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, we were all sitting here wondering, what are we going to do after Sammy and Steve? And quite honestly, I had a lot of fans come up to me and say, the World of Outlaws is going to be gone when Steve and Sammy are gone. Yet we talk about this growth. It's been pretty amazing what you guys corporately, but what the cast of characters that have taken the place have done out there on the road and be able to continue to grow after Sammy and Steve.
Well, it's really what Sammy and Steve and the World of Outlaws with Ted and Lanny and all those guys built along the way was people want to be the World of Outlaws champion. So there's going to be hungry racers to do that. And candidly, we see a lot of people, they want to race on the track with Donny. It was the same phenomenon with Steve and Sammy. They want to see how they stack up. And it's just something fun to see. But the World of Outlaws has been bigger than any particular one person. It's become a life. It's the World of Outlaws is what we're racing group and what the racers are and what the fans make it. And so when you show up, you become part of the World of Outlaws for that weekend or that evening, and that's what makes it special.
Absolutely amazing. Really, really cool stuff. We need to step away. We're going to talk more with Brian Carter. We'll also talk a little bit about our Hall of Fame birthday driver of the week and a whole lot more. So stay with us. More on MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires, in just a moment.
Hey, this is Jason Sides, and you're listening to Steve and Kendra on Wing Nation here on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
O'Reilly. If it's time to replace your vehicle's headlights, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts See Better, Drive Safer sale for a twin pack of Sylvania Silver Star Ultra headlights and get a $15 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. See farther and more clearly with Silver Star headlights at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon. Did you know that 43 children are diagnosed with cancer each and every day? That more children die from cancer than any other disease? Athletes of all ages are dedicating their stats to change these stats, and you can too. Visit JeffGordonChildren'sFoundation.org to become a Kick It champion. No matter what sport, you can use your points, laps, or goals to change the odds for kids with cancer. Make your stats really count. Become a Kick It champion.
On November 13th, the NASCAR semifinal comes to Phoenix.
Just about everybody here is holding their breath.
Harvick, Busch, Johnson.
Man, they almost wrecked right there.
Edwards, Hamlin, Stewart.
It feels like you're on pins and needles.
When a Sprint Cup championship is on the line.
Wow, look at him slam.
Every moment counts. The Can-Am 500 on November 13th. Secure the best remaining seats now at PhoenixRaceway.com.
This is Tony Stewart. You're listening to Winged Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Welcome back. Thanks, Tony. We're having a great time here. I appreciate Brian Carter spending some time with us. And it's funny, we've talked about Brian's he is a numbers guy. and Erin's an engineer, and he's teasing her with all of these numbers here.
That
Shuffling
wasn't
back and
teasing. He
forth.
put them in front of me. That was all excitement right there.
It's great, and it is amazing what the numbers show and what we've learned across the way. Brian, of course, is the CEO of the World Racing Group, which is the world of outlaw craftsman sprint cars, what we talk about here on Wing Nation. But on Sling and Dirt, we talk a lot about the modifieds and the world of outlaw craftsman late models as well. So, Brian, let's talk a little bit about those series. Your late model division, state of the sport over there for the late models.
Well, we've got a good thing going on there too. Josh, a record season for wins again, and again talk about a dominating force in late model racing. So, the series for the first time in a long time with a title sponsor allows us to do some investment into the program and make it better for everybody involved there too. So, I think we gave 12 Gaylord packs of Gaylord boxes, pallets of tools to the teams, but the fan interaction and the events are really strong there too. So it's nice to see that working. And then Super Dirt Week, we talk about that separately, but the Super Dirt Car Series of 27 races this year, it's just that series is nice steady momentum. And I think you're seeing that for the first time since World Racing Group's existence. We didn't operate a weekly racetrack in 2016. So we were out of the weekly operating business. So we ran Lernerville. So we focused all those efforts on making everything that we do better from a series perspective and from a sanctioning perspective. And it really allowing us to focus, again, 97 events we promoted ourselves or were joint ventures with existing promoters. And it allows us to focus on the things we can have the greatest impact on the people and the sport.
Brian, how do you, as you were running all this, manage to go to some dirt modified races, some late model races, some how do you manage your own schedule?
Well, the good thing is I don't have to be at all of them. So I've got such a great team of people. The series directors, 10 years they've been with us. It's just incredible. So I have a really good group. But you really have to prioritize the pieces. It depends on, again, back to what you were asking me, how do I help a region? What do I need to do? Do I need to visit with a promoter or visit with but the main thing is I have such a great team of people around me that I don't have to be in any particular one.
Yeah.
And I've said it before at events. If I get involved, something's happened. So I actually like to stand back and give guidance to the guys and let them run. That's what they're there for, and they're all really good at it, and it makes my life that much easier. So I don't have to be in any particular place. There was a couple of years there, especially at the end of 2005. I did not miss a sprint car show after about June, and it was exhausting. But I had to focus on the sprint cars to kind of get it on track, and when you take that much resources away from something else, you see that long-term effect. So got to go back, but it's a balance. To go to the Northeast and see the guys. Some great programs going on up there with the modified racing, and in the middle of the country, the Summer Nationals shows are going great. We're working in some of the World of Outlaws late models up into the Summer Nationals program, and having that is really something special. And the key is when you get this one going this way and this one going that way, and you try not to get them. Oh, damn, we're in the same place with the World of Outlaws brand, the Craftsman World of Outlaws brand, both play. So, but it's a lot of fun for me, and it's really nice to have a group of people that I trust to just get it done.
On the other series front, you've been throwing a real challenge up in the Northeast with the Syracuse Fairgrounds going away. Super Dirt Week, an iconic event. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the Knoxville Nationals of dirt modified racing. Sprint car fans, it's the same, okay? It just is.
It is.
And with the fairgrounds no longer available, you found yourself with a hopeful option with what Glenn Donnelly is building up there, or attempting to build there, as he arm wrestles with politicians and environmentalists and everything else. But you ended up in a scenario where you had to go to a paved track, Oswego, which is an iconic racetrack, and put dirt down over the pavement. Just as you look back at it now, how did things go for Super Dirt Week? How was Super Dirt Week for you guys?
Well, it was the most challenging week of my career. I tell you,
really,
it was. But it was when you step back and you look, my God, that was amazing. It was extraordinary, and I think everybody had a great time unless you're spending money on a race car. But even those guys, when you step back, they were, the key was we started on July the 15th when we finally got the approval from the state. So July 15th, with the Teresi family doing extraordinary work with his local business partners, bringing in 600 loads of clay, 500 loads of rock, electrifying everything, sold out camping in 26 hours. So it was just you're cramming everything in that was the 300 and some odd acres of the fairgrounds into 100 and something acres. And so to be able to pull it off, I've said to my team many times that we could take on any challenge. Well, we tried it. We took on it. As big a challenge as we've ever taken on as a group, as not only professionals, race operators, promoters, organizers, every single part of the organization got tested. And for me, the goal was will it feel like Super Dirt Week?
Mm-hmm.
Will it feel? Because Syracuse had a feel. It was special. And I think we did a great job of creating something that felt pretty damn close to Super Dirt Week. And that was the key. We've got a few things that I know we're going to tweak. I've got a list of things where we're going to spend some money to try to make the facility better, make the fan experience better, but it was an awesome week.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible.
How was it received by the fans? Racing in upstate New York for a while, I know how important that week was, Super Dirt Week. How was it received by the fans, and were they patient with you trying this new thing?
The positive vibe was probably the greatest surprise for me. We had I expected it to go well, but I didn't know how everybody, if you're it's not the fairgrounds, it's not the fairgrounds. Well, you're right, it's not the fairgrounds. But are we going to have fun or not? And once you got everybody moved in, it rained like 2 inches on the Sunday, before we moved in. I was like, are you kidding me? We've got a property. I have to use every square foot of farmland and anybody who was there's not a flat piece of property on the property. So, so we had campers this way and that way. And by the time we got to the end of the week, everybody was nice and level, and the mud had settled down, and there was no more wrestling. And it was just extraordinary. I've got so many different stories, but it felt like Super Dirt Week. The fans were incredible. Thank you so much for being positive. We had a couple of people but you're going to have a couple of people, especially when you give them all day on a rain-out Saturday.
Yeah,
yeah. They got a pretty good run into Saturday night, but we all had a great time. We put 477 laps on the racetrack on Sunday.
Oh, my gosh.
Racing laps with these cars. I mean, if anybody who's around a big block modified, my God, 477 laps on all those cars. And to get done at the end of the day and go, whoo, boy, that was cool.
You guys undertook another one that came about late in the season, the One Dirt World Dirt Track Championships over here as a week before the World Finals. Where did that come from? And what's your overview of that, and where does that event go as a first-year promotion that you guys put together?
Well, personally, I've been pushing on that event for about 5 or 6 years before I sold all my race car stuff here in Charlotte. So I wanted to race at Charlotte. I've raced at Texas and at Knoxville and a bunch around in Texas. I wanted to be on the Charlotte Motor Speedway dirt track. So I've been pushing for a long time to get that done. And sure enough, we've been pushing on it. We knew we started working on this last year, and through the process with Charlotte, trying to figure out if it's going to be a partnership. We've got such a great partnership with Charlotte on the World Finals. But we're able to craft a relationship with them because they're not backgate promoters. They want to have a show where the grandstands are full. Sure. and all that. And we knew this event really wasn't going to start off that way. But to announce something in July and then pull off 325 cars, and they were grinning ear to ear. To give you an example, we had one of the local classes here has 52 cars registered. That's all the cars they have to take. 49 of them participated at Charlotte.
Oh my
49
gosh.
of 52, and I'm sure those other two guys, somebody was out of town sick or in the hospital somewhere. I mean, it was that important to the local racers. 80% of them were from within 100 miles. So this gives everybody a chance to come and play on a premier facility. And it's a premier facility because of all the work that Humpy and Roger and those guys did along the way and what we've done with the World Finals. It's become something special. So we've announced it already for next year. It'll be the week before. We're going to shuffle the World Finals back a week and give us all a little bit of a chance to take a breath. But we'll be back the last week in October, first week in November, and you'll see it. It'll become a staple in the world in our calendar for sure.
Pushing the World Finals back that week, do you think you'll see some teams maybe run the 360 race the week before? Are you trying to make it, more of an
We've
event
got
like
them busy.
They're
out west still again. There won't be any of the
But some of the other teams, maybe
Absolutely.
not your full-time teams, but teams that you obviously work with, come and run both like they do out in Knoxville. They run the 360 Nationals and they stay for the 410.
That would make me happy. We really wanted to create something special for people, for the teams other than the World of Outlaws, Craftsman Sprint Cars and the Craftsman Late Models and the Super Dirt Series Big Blocks. So creating that event, I want it to be special for those people that are participating here too, and it would make me happy to see that become a marquee event for all of those classes also.
Man, I'll tell you, it's so exciting. It truly, truly is. Hey, we need to step away. Before we do that, let's talk a little bit about one of our favorite places, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, Knoxville, Iowa. They continue with the Expand the Dream project. Talked to Bob Baker at Charlotte. I know you had a meeting or something with him. Yep. They had a great auction and a great event, and the building is coming along really, really well.
Yeah, it's supposed to be done soon.
Yeah, Mother Nature's not throwing them any curveballs, and they're getting the old car wash converted to a storage building. So it is really cool. And one of the things we like to do, and this is off the calendar, which, by the way, the calendar is available. The 2017 calendar is available. You can find that at sprintcarstuff.com. We talk about birthdays. Monday, the birthday of Tom Bigelow, 76-year-old racer from Whitewater, Wisconsin. You smile. Have you?
Yeah. Have you met Tom Bigelow?
Yes, I have.
Character.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Great ambassador of the sport.
Absolutely.
Back years ago, I was at 5 Mile Point Speedway doing PR up in Binghamton, New York, and we would do a midget race with USAC, NEMA, and ARDC.
Yeah.
And USAC would always send an advanced driver into town for us to do PR. And they sent Tom Bigelow. Well, of course, then we didn't have Google or all of these things. So I'm like going to the library to read about Tom Bigelow because I'm a dirt modified guy and going through all the Gator Racing News and Air Auto Racing News. Well, I met him, and he is a spectacular ambassador.
Yes.
I mean, it was a wonderful day driving around Binghamton, New York with Tom Bigelow. So really, really cool. Tom started racing midgets at Angel Park. Amazing success. Midget championship, USAC championship, raced in kart, raced in NASCAR. 2002 inductee into the Midget Hall of Fame. 1996 inductee into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame in Knoxville, Iowa. Those are the stories contained at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, right in turn number 2 in Iowa. And again, it's not too early, folks. If you have a sprint car fan, sprintcarstuff.com. Get the Christmas shopping done, right?
Right.
No Black Friday.
There's some good stuff there.
Oh, my gosh.
Every
They've got
book
some.
you could ever want.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's great. You get that done, and you'll sit around and laugh at all the knuckleheads out on Black Friday, knowing that you've got your sprint car fan not only shopped for, but something that they actually like. SprintCarStuff.com. More information about the Sprint Car Hall of Fame at www.SprintCarHof.com. Let's step away. More with Brian Carter in just a moment.
I'm Danny Holkraver, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
This weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, prepare yourself for the 38th annual AGCO Jackson Nationals. Live at the all-new Jackson Motorplex. See the stars of the Lucas Oil ASCS 360 Sprint Car Series, the National Sprint League Outlaw Sprint Cars, and the HRA Non-Wing Sprint Cars. Watch the world's best sprint car drivers compete for over $150,000 in prize money. 3-day combo pass, just $75. Get more info at JacksonMotorplex.com. The AGCO Jackson Nationals this weekend at the all-new Jackson Motorplex in Jackson, Minnesota. Be there.
O'Reilly.
When it comes to vehicle safety, having poor visibility is a risk not worth taking. Get set for this fall's weather by visiting your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store during the See Better, Drive Safer sale. You'll find deals on name brand headlights, wiper blades, and everything you need to see better and drive safer. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Race fans, you know there's nothing like the power, excitement, and sounds of NASCAR. Ever wonder what it would be like to strap yourself in the seat of an authentic NASCAR race car? You can do it at the Richard Petty Driving Experience. Ride along or drive yourself at one of 15 tracks nationwide. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit online at drivepetty.com. Richard Petty Driving Experience. It's authentic NASCAR entertainment. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit drivepetty.com to reserve your experience.
Hi, I'm Casey Kane. Now back to Wing Nation.
Thank you, Casey. Welcome back. We are having a great time. We appreciate Brian Carter joining us. We'll get to more of that here in just a little bit. We talk about our Jeff Gordon's Kick It Person of the Week, and we're going to continue on this story. Young Timmy Dibble, the son of Tim and Leah Dibble. They're the owners of Hartford Speedway. He's in a huge fight. Just got a note from Leah, his mom, that he's doing well. He's battling the battle. I think this is day 19 of treatment. And so on our Facebook page, and we'll hit it again on social media, teams, drivers, fans, if you could send something to Timmy, because the one thing he loves is sprint cars. And we sent a little care package of MRN stuff up, and they sent a picture of him with a hat and an MRN T-shirt on. And we find, and we learned this with our friends at Jeff Gordon, this is a terrible disease to battle, and we all feel helpless. And to a degree we are as far as the battle. Jeff Gordon's foundation and other groups are working on the battle from the medical standpoint. What we can do is lift the spirits. And so when we've been able to do that a little bit, and it's so just really neat. So we'll keep that information out there for you, and we'll just continue with all of us, Wing Nation, our Jeff Gordon's Kick It Person of the Week. Brian Carter joins us here. He is the CEO of the World Racing Group, the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Cars, what we talk about mainly here on Wing Nation. Brian, this world that we live in with social media and pay-per-view and 24/7 access, it's an amazing time to be a sprint car fan. We joke around with our tweet your seat. It's because I'm sitting in some hotel in Anniston, Alabama, wanting to know what's going on with the world. But you guys with the Dirt Vision, boy, there's a lot going on out there. What's the latest? I know you changed some things around this year with different levels and programming. How are things going there, and what can fans expect going forward?
Well, we at the beginning of the year we took a different approach with some of our on-demand pieces. Yeah. So we made the on-demand free, so you can actually see most, if not all, of the World of Outlaws racing on demand on Dirt Vision. So as a free package, the pay-per-views are still available for the live events, and we try to make those a much larger production, multi-cameras and HD where we can, depending on the limitations of the connectivity at our racetracks. Really is the only thing that prevents us from doing a lot of really cool things at the racetrack. So we're trying to be sharing as much of that as we can, the on-demand, really inviting them to be part of the Dirt Vision community so they can come and watch the races. And are really pretty quick. And within a few days, Ross and Brian and the guys, Carly, and they all have the programming up and ready for you to watch it on Dirt Vision. So it's really part of a larger campaign or a larger objective of ours to create the racing community and try to get as much information out as we can. Social media has become such an important part, and when used properly, can be a really positive piece for the sport. And from our perspective, we're trying to get as much content and as much of the things that are behind the scenes that people really don't necessarily understand, so they can really understand what's happening going up and down the road. So through our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of the things, I'm getting my kids are at the racetrack and they're going, "You have filters?" And I'm like, "Yes, we do." So they're doing all their things, and I'm looking at their phones. I'm like, "Okay." So no, it's actually phenomenal. People want to be part of something, and when you can be part of something bigger, and it feels like your little getaway from whatever life's got you down, it's actually a good thing. And the social media aspect of it is really, really taken off. And that's one of the things that Craftsman has an amazing number of members, 20 million something members. And they're really excited about our content. We have so much content. We need to, the more, I've rarely taken a fan to a sprint car race and then not go, "Oh my God, that's insane! I want it. When's the next one?" Yeah. So the more, that I'm serious. It's like when's the next one? And so the more you can get people out on social media and seeing it, you're getting them closer and closer to the racetrack each time. And then if you can get them once you get them to the racetrack, they're a fan. And that's really what we're trying to do. And the fans that are hooked, you're trying to feed that addiction until we get back out there again through the social media. So
it is.
Brian, as far as cable television goes, you have a relationship with CBS Sports right now, but what does that all look like for next year, for 2017?
Well, we have a great relationship with CBS and actually are nurturing a relationship with MAV through Speed Sport and working on more of the dirt car brands and Super Dirt Car Series. But expanded programming, we shot, Mother Nature helped us decide to, but we shot 8 shows of 8 TV shows at World Finals. So we started showing TV from Cedar Lake on Sunday, and it's going to be steady. I mean, go check out worldofoutlaws.com, and you can see our TV programming schedule. We're going to run it. Found some really nice place for us to run in the fall so people can continue their racing season right on in until we get time for the Chili Bowl and go racing in Florida. It's actually, it's nice to see that growing, and CBS has been a great partner, and I think we'll see some more expansion on that.
That is cool. That is great to hear, and we love to hear the MAV portion of it with my beloved dirt modifieds. I love those cars and those racers, and so we're glad to see that as well. Brian, I guess at this point we're getting right up toward the top of it. We just appreciate your time coming in and spending time with us and sharing the gospel of the World Racing Group and the World of Outlaws. You mentioned fishing. When are you going to go, and where do you fish around here?
I don't know. I keep the boat behind the shop, and it's got like 4 tractor trailers with big Craftsman logos all over them and blocking them in. So I go out to the coast. I've been an offshore fisherman my entire life, so I enjoy doing that when I get a chance. And October is one of the best months to fish here, and I don't get out once. My son looks at me like, "What are you doing?" But I'm going to get out. I don't know where. Maybe if it's just to get a pull out off the coast there, off the beach. But I'm looking forward to the spring. But we've got so many good things. Thank you guys for spreading the word. Thank you to all the great fans across the country for coming out and supporting the events. It's a tremendous year in 2016. I really, really sincerely appreciate you guys all being a World of Outlaws fan.
It is. It's amazing. It really is. And we echo the same thing for Wing Nation, what we've had so much fun doing here. And we will continue on. We'll start back up again in January. There are some still races coming up, Erin. We're not done. Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour this weekend, the John Christner Trucking Fall Fling at Creek County Speedway in Oklahoma. Then they end the season out of Kokopaw next weekend. King of the West Series, 33rd annual tribute to Gary Patterson, Friday and Saturday night at the Stockton Dirt Track. And yes, they're racing in Pennsylvania, Saturday at Susky. Exactly. Be there, posse. It is your one final crack at the World of Outlaw, or the sprint cars before Lincoln, which starts in about 3 weeks probably. So the off season in Pennsylvania. So really great stuff. Coming up this weekend on Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV, Donny Schatz. And on Wing Nation Weekend, presented by Hefner Racing Products, we'll chat with Jason Sides. So looking forward to that as well. Before we get out of here, we want to thank our sponsors. Sage Fruit, our presenting sponsor of our MAV TV show, and Hercules Tire, presenting sponsor of this show and the Hercules Hotline that we have along the way. Our individual sponsors, Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation, Classic Ink Screen Printing and Embroidery, Aggressive Hydraulics, Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, Valco Racing Wheels, National Sprint League, Jackson Speedway, Hefner Racing Products, Port Royal Speedway, and our sponsors out of Knoxville, the Knoxville Raceway, and Articat for joining us. Thanks to Craig Moore, Robbie Mays, and everyone here at MRN. But more important than all of that, we thank you, Wing Nation, sprint car fans, drivers, teams, sanctions, tracks. You guys make this all happen. And while we're going away here on MRN.com and while we're wrapping up over on MAV TV, our Twitter account and our Facebook page will be very, very active and very, very busy all off-season long. So we appreciate you joining us. Thanks again to Brian Carter for joining us. For Erin Evernham, I'm Steve Post. Thank you for joining us on MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules
You've
Tires.
been listening to the nation's premier winged sprint car radio program, Winged Nation. Tune in next Tuesday at noon for more talk from the dirt tracks. Winged Nation is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.